Well, hello, everybody. It is Friday. Get excited. Welcome in. This is the Slate. We are a DraftKings show. We come to you every weekday in the 5 o'clock hour. Sorry we're a little late. The Madden sim decided to go to overtime. Kenny Pickett just slicing up the Saints secondary and then squeezing in a touchdown in overtime. Sometimes I miss those days, but, we never got to saw Madden Kenny Pickett, but now you people do. Here we are, though, talking sports, talking NFL, getting you set for the weekend. Week 7 in the NFL is, of course, Sunday. We had a nice game last night, some points last night, Thursday Night Football. Arizona, New Orleans. I mean, it was a little – if you didn't watch the game, you would have thought, oh, Kyler Murray must have went off, but which he kind of did. He always kind of does in fantasy or any form. DeAndre Hopkins looked good coming back, can basically make any catch on any route, which is phenomenal. But Andy Dalton's pretty bad too. And a couple of defensive scores for Arizona. Point being, we got points on Thursday Night Football. So Al Michaels was happy about it. Could just feel it in his voice. He didn't know how to call touchdowns. Poor guy. Jeff Ulrich, Matt LaMarca, Brendan Glasheen. We'll take you up until 6 o'clock here on the program, Twitch, YouTube, even on Twitter at DK Nation. That is how you can find us. Either of you have a thought on last night? Do you really care? Is it like, does it make you think like, oh, okay, we finally turned a corner in these games, LaMarca?
Very weird game. If you parlayed Rashid Shaheed first touchdown, Keontae Ingram touchdown, Greg Dortch touchdown, and Juwan Johnson 2+ scores, congratulations, you are now officially the richest person on the planet. There were also 2 defensive scores in that game.
Yep.
Taysom Hill caught a touchdown pass, like just a very weird game. But as you said, it was a nice, refreshing change from some of the stuff we've had on Thursday Night Football so far this year.
Jeff, I got to give it to you. Juwan Johnson, right? Is that his name? Did I get that name right?
You did.
Okay.
Not Juwan Man, it's Juwan Johnson.
Juwan Johnson. Sorry, the Celtic. I'm going to sound like coughing for a second. The Celtics had a guy named Juwan Johnson, I think, at one point on their roster. Anyway, I'm not trying to pull a Kaufman. I apologize. But good call on Juwan Johnson. There we go. On the over for his receiving yards. That was a nice hit. And he was a nice little value play in your lineups last night at 3K. So
yeah, no, I know LaMarca was on him as well for a touchdown prop, I think, which made a lot of sense. So yeah, it was a good matchup. Arizona, I think that's a team you just want to keep starting tight ends against the rest of the year. Their whole scheme on defense is blitz as much as possible and just leave the middle of the field wide open. So yeah, worked out again. I don't know. Yeah, like 2 defensive touchdown scores. Arizona is definitely not back, but they're, a scrappy team, I guess, and on showing a little bit of life on defense. So that's good. Could keep them in some games. Hopkins being back is good, but I don't know. These 2 teams, they just don't matter much. I mean, I think they're the definition of mediocre. Like, they're not terrible, but they're not good either. So it's nice to see a little bit of scoring, but as Matt alluded to at the start, it's a weird one for touchdowns.
Well, the stakes for last night for those 2 teams were to basically stay in contention, and that's what Arizona does. And Jeff, I know you've been on record. You think they're like the worst team in the league, which
they might be. Okay. They were the first 2 weeks, but they've definitely. I mean, I give them credit. Like, you can't be that bad when you have Kyler Murray, and their defense has turned it around a bit. But I still don't think they're very good.
Yeah, that's fair. But they saved their season, and they're in the mix in a division that has all 3-3 teams, and they are now 3-4. So that was a huge win for Arizona. They might be the worst team in the league with upside talent, right? Like, because of how good they were,
they're a poorly coached good team is a good way to put it. Like, they have some talent, and they're just not well coached. That's
right.
Kind of how I get the Cardinals.
And the way they approach their offseason, they're doing it now mid-season. This is like a fantasy team. Hey, dude, I'll give you my 3rd string running back. He's going to be back in week 9. I'll give you Robbie Anderson. All right. Hey, dude, I know you stashed Hopkins. Dude, he's going to be back week 6. Come on, week 7. Come on. So they didn't hear. It's just they're just throwing it all together like a fantasy.
I didn't know the
team.
Arizona management were like from Southie. That's
Everyone is.
Everyone's from South,
or they want to be. If
South Arizona. Okay. Anyway, Yeah, let's move on. I figured I'd give it a second to talk about last night's game. It was actually worth kind of talking about a little bit. So yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Arizona's
that's true.
alive. Saints are in trouble. No matter who the quarterback is, they're only 2 wins. But I say that Atlanta and Tampa are 3-3 too. So the league is down, I think was what we're finding out.
The Saints defense though it's legitimately worse than it has been in previous years. And I think my whole premise around the Saints being decent this year was that their defense would be as good as usual. And then their offense could just find ways with Taysom Hill. And their offense has actually been finding ways, but their defense has been awful. So it's just kind of counteracted it. Like the Saints on offense has been exactly what I thought you'd get. You get trick plays with Taysom Hill. You'd get some big plays from Olave or whoever is healthy. And then Kamara is just Kamara, but like they can't stop anything. So it hasn't really mattered that much.
So the unders at night train takes an immediate halt. They run into a stop sign and the over hits last night. So if you played the under, sorry, but the over finally hit on Thursday Night Football. Moving right along into Sunday, looking at the betting card, I have the DFS contest up as well, so we can bounce back and forth over the next 25 minutes and discuss the slate. What do we like? What do we don't like? There's been some line movement. I suppose we can use Carolina, Tampa, which we were just discussing, and I only bring those teams up as well as Kansas City and San Francisco because of the line movement on McCaffrey getting traded last night. A haul of a deal going back to Carolina. San Francisco is all in with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback and all of those weapons. So I don't know. I think they're just trying to cover up. They may have not made the best call to evaluate their franchise with the quarterback position, but they're going all in with the trade, with those picks being moved. That's for sure. I mean, the line moved 2.5, 2 points. It was at 11 last night. The trade goes down. Now it's moved to 13. And now the Niners, as opposed to being plus 2.5, are now just plus 2 at home against Kansas City. LaMarca, what are your thoughts on the McCaffrey deal and how it impacts the slate this weekend, those two games?
It really doesn't for me from the 49ers perspective. I don't think that one of the problems that team had was in the run game. Yep. Like they had other issues. And I will say I like the 49ers this week getting 2 against the Chiefs, but it has more to do with the fact that they are just going to be exponentially healthier than they were last week. Trent Williams back, Nick Bosa back, Jimmy Ward back. It's just so much talent that they're infusing on both sides of the ball with those 3 guys. So I do think that, if you think about the line moving only 0.5 point, given that injury report and the McCaffrey news, like that's probably not enough in my opinion. I think that the 49ers, it's probably closer to a pick 'em in my eyes. So I'm grabbing them on the money line, plus 110. As for Carolina, I honestly don't want to waste any more brain power thinking about them this year. They were a team I was actively fading while Baker Mayfield was under center. PJ Walker still starting. It seems like it's only a matter of time before Sam Darnold gets his shot. Who knows, right? I mean, 13 feels like a lot of points, but they may just be done already. Like they may be mailing it in week 7.
He was 70. McCaffrey was 70% of their offense last week in terms of just how they constructed and moved the ball as little as they did. He makes up for a lot of that, Jeff. Any thoughts on this from a betting standpoint, even San Francisco? I mean, you've been on San Francisco since the offseason, since training camp, since August, preseason. You've been on San Francisco to win the division. And yeah, I mean, does this make you feel, I would imagine it makes you feel better about it, but does it change all that much? It's a running back.
I think that for like a 1 week boost, it changes a little bit. I think it sends a really positive message. Like LaMarca, I mean, I love this spot for the 49ers. They're 6-3 as home underdogs since 2018. The Chiefs really don't cover well as road favorites. They're 8-10 as road favorites since 2020. You have all these guys coming back for the 49ers. You send a message to your team that's saying, we're all in this year.
Yep.
We just gave all this up. This guy's coming to town and all your dudes are back. And like, yeah, I mean, and just the cherry on top here is really just the money that's flowing in on the Chiefs. As of now, 77% of the bets on the Chiefs. Sorry, that's 77% of the handle, 88% of the bets on the Chiefs.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it's been absurdly profitable to just fade the public bets once it gets over 60% to one side. And I don't know why we would stop that here. San Francisco at home with Kyle Shanahan is going to have at least 3 red zone packages for Christian McCaffrey. And it's just a wrinkle that Kansas City is going to have to deal with. And like I said, just the motivation factor alone, I think it's just a boost. I don't even care like if it's +1, whatever. Like Lamarck, I'll probably just take the money line. So like that, I don't Carolina. Like I don't even know. I mean, if no one's betting Carolina clearly. I mean, some people are. It's actually not as weighted as towards Tampa Bay as you'd think. But you know, the line's up to 13 now. I think this line was at like 11 and a half.
Yep, last night 11.
I like Tampa Bay. It's to a point I'm just not going to bet this game. I like this game for props a lot. I really like Chris Godwin's over. They're really trying to get him going. I don't know why it's only at 61. He's had 18 targets the last 2 weeks. He's out-targeted Mike Evans 18 to 12. Got another terrible secondary. And like, I'll jump on the DJ Moore over here. We're at 48.5 for DJ Moore. I don't know how much worse it can get. Like, I mean, at the very least, like
it can get worse, Jeff.
We're going to see. Well, I'm going to put it to the test because it's still DJ Moore, you know, 2 catches, 50 yards. That can happen. So
yeah, a couple of 50-yard games before the Rams game. So there's promise there, Lamarca, to get to 50.
I will say this about the Panthers. If you are just looking, I think it's a spot where the Sharps will probably just plug their nose and take the Panthers because that's what they do. Double-digit home dogs since 2003 are 67 and 50 against the spread. So pretty good little cover right there. It's one of those things where they have to inflate this number. We were talking about this off air. They have to inflate this number or else they're going to just get snowed under in Buccaneers money. So they make the spread 13 when in reality, maybe it's closer to 10, just trying to entice any bit of Panthers money that there is. So it's one of those spots that I do think the Sharps might talk themselves into. I don't think I have the courage to actually bet real American dollars on PJ Walker, but that's the logic behind the play.
57% hit rate is that number on, you said double-digit underdogs.
Double-digit home dogs.
Home dog. That's true. They're at home too. Okay. Yeah, it could be a bounce-back spot for Tampa based on their slow start offensively. But yeah, feels like a game. Just stay away from it. Don't even put Tampa in a money line parlay or something like that. Just that seems dangerous in my opinion. But yeah, they should get there. But it's like just also it's a stupid number, -675. Also, the other note, and why, Jeff, the money, and look at that, the line just moved. I moved it.
We moved it, Jeff.
Let's go. There you go. Patrick Mahomes, when he is a field goal favorite or less, 16-5-1 against the number. But when it's above a field goal, he's under 500. So in that case, well, last week he was an underdog against Buffalo at home.
I will say though, like Jeff kind of briefly touched on this, but yeah, just when you look at what these two teams did last week, the 49ers got embarrassed by the Falcons.
Sure did.
I think that it's a spot where they're going to be completely focused on turning things around, while the Chiefs' heartbreaking loss against the Bills, it wouldn't shock me if they're a bit lethargic in this spot. So it's always scary when you're asking another team to beat Patrick Mahomes. And that's essentially what you're doing if you're taking 49ers +1.5, but I do think it's the right side.
Okay. They've gotten up for big games this year, San Francisco. Well, the big game, the only big game they've played in is the Los Angeles game on Monday night. And they got up for that one defensively for sure with Armstead out. That's why a lot of folks, I think, bet the Rams because, how are they going to protect Garoppolo? But Garoppolo gets the ball out of his hands quick, lets his skill guys make the moves, and they move the chains. So McCaffrey should fit in well if that's what they continue to do with Garoppolo. Short, easy throws, get it out quick, and move the chains. What else jumps out to us? I mean, The Dak stuff is fascinating. It looks like Dak's going to be back. The number's moving though. It's that key 6.5 as opposed to the 7 now. So does that make you more enticed to look at Dallas because you're getting shorter than a touchdown?
I will say that the Lions at 7 were one of my favorite plays of the week. I'm not quite as interested at 6.5, but I still think that they're bettable at that number. Dallas, the formula has been pretty simple. The games that they win are the games where their pass rush dominates. And Detroit, for all their issues that they might have the best offensive line in the NFL. They're first in adjusted sack rate allowed. So they're going to do as good a job as anybody neutralizing the Dallas pass rush. And if you can keep those guys from getting to your quarterback, their linebackers and safeties aren't world beaters. And Detroit's coming off of a bye.
Yep.
Dan Campbell is 14-7, I want to say, as an underdog. DeAndre Swift looks like he might be back. Amon-Ra St. Brown is back. I think that this is a great spot for Detroit.
Yeah, I think there's another number in terms of a trend on Jared Goff as the dog. Okay, no, never mind. It's better when he's a favorite. Well, that's when he was at the Rams. Yeah,
There's
Jared
no
Goff.
good numbers for Jared Goff. Just calm down. I'm actually against LaMarca here. I think it's 6.5. I'd like it down to 6. I think the Cowboys are going to put one on Detroit here. I just don't like this. Jared Goff on the road against a good defense that gets pressure, that gets
For the
turnovers.
record, 20-18 against the spread. So it's not terrible. He's about 500 as an underdog.
I think Dak's going to come back and just, be out to prove a point. Zeke has looked okay. I just think Dallas is going to be too much here. I think this is kind of just a get right spot for Dallas after last week and just getting their quarterback back.
Yep.
I don't really like betting against the Lions because they're that ATS record is really it's
you can't kill them.
under Dan Campbell.
They could fall behind by 21 points and
I know.
it's not over.
But and if this was another defense, I would say I agree. But the Cowboys defense has been pretty legit this year. Like I
would agree.
They don't give up easy yards. Like they just don't. So I think this could be a spot where Detroit just gets it handed to them again. Anyways, it's not my favorite spot of the week, but I would lean Dallas here at 6.5, not at 7. 7, I just completely stay off. But I do like the Cowboys side.
Yeah, the other thing I would say too for Dallas, the way they came back against Philly is encouraging because say they did get blown out, maybe it could have gotten a better number. What? You're wagging your finger. What?
Oh, I thought you were going to just say it was encouraging, but really it was Lane Johnson got hurt. That was what changed in that game.
True.
Then all of a sudden Dallas's pass rush started getting there. That's why that game got a little sweaty at the end. But that kind of goes into why I like Detroit.
Fair enough.
If you can protect your quarterback, there are opportunities against this defense.
Yeah, I'm trying to build up Jeff's point too, which is, okay, you got your quarterback back. Hey, we hung in there with Cooper Rush against the best team in the league at 6-0. I know they had some banged up guys, but you had Cooper Rush at quarterback as opposed to Dak Prescott. So I know you're bringing up the injury. Well, they've been out without their quarterback for 5 weeks. And
it's a big upgrade. I am very, very much in the camp that Dak Prescott is a significant upgrade over Cooper Rush. I just think it's a bad matchup for them. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right, I got one more, and then you guys I'll ask you what games you want to talk about. Okay, this Russell Wilson stuff. Nathaniel Hackett, we don't have to talk about everything else. Denver, Hakuna Matata, the past is behind us, but you kind of have to reflect on the past a bit here. Look up at the stars, Simba.
Everything the light touches is yours.
Yeah, not for us. Yeah, every danger which you eat, it becomes your kingdom. I
see.
They're a 1-point home favorite against the Jets, which the Jets deserve some recognition here. But the news here is Nathaniel Hackett says today Russell Wilson is a game time decision. Anybody know the backup quarterback in Denver? Rippin. Oh, Rippin. This guy. That's right. Drew Lock's out. Rippin was the third string guy last year, or second string for Drew Lock. Anyway, Jeff, you be going back to the well on Russ or no?
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I don't even care what this team does the rest of the year, but they did cover last week.
They did.
No one's betting them because everyone thinks they stink. I think Russ is going to play. I think they're just hamming it up a little bit.
He's got that Wolverine blood, Jeff.
That's right. Russ doesn't miss games. He'll play. In all seriousness, though, like we got all the money coming in on the Jets. The Jets, like we're basically saying the Jets are the better team here. And I mean, like they've played better and like their stars have been better, but this is still really good Denver defense. And you're going into Denver. It's just a tough place to play. Denver is very good at covering at home. I like the Broncos again to cover. I do. I think it's probably going to be ugly game. If they can just contain Breece Hall though and force Zach Wilson, I mean, you could get that 3 INT Zach Wilson game here. So again, just fading the public basically here, playing off the good Broncos D, trying not to worry too much about with Russ. If we get anything from Russ, hey, great. You know, the Broncos can win this game like by 14 points. If they don't, they could still win by like a point. So I'm going to take Denver here and just, this is going to be ugly, but that's where I'm going.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, and this kind of relates to Dak in a sense, maybe more so last week too, when they played Philadelphia, but the line already feels that the news about Russ is baked in, like he's going to play. Wouldn't Denver would be a home dog, right? If Russ didn't play, if it was ripping, or maybe not, because he's been that bad. I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I think they would be.
You think he'd be a home dog if Russ didn't play?
Yeah, the problem is it's not all Russell Wilson's fault, right? Watching that game last week, they couldn't block anybody. No one was getting open, right? You think about those receivers, they should have some guys getting open, but it just doesn't feel like it's happening. And the Jets defense is better than I thought it was going to be. I'm not looking to bet the Jets in this spot, but I'm probably not looking to target the Broncos either. You know, I feel like I escaped with a Broncos cover last week, and that's enough. I need a refresh, a cool down period off of that.
On the money line side, Jets are getting north of 80% of the bets, close to 60% of the money. Just on the money line side for the Jets, for the +1, it's over 70% of the bets, and it's close to even on the money distribution coming in. So slight edge.
I mean, look, like there's two different ways to look at the Broncos, and there's one is what Lamarca pointed out. Like we got lucky last week, we covered. You know, they're horrible, but like the other is they should have won that game like multiple times, and it's just I know it's like a broken record when I say this, but I mean this team could have such a better record with like just simple plays going their way, like. So, and I get it. Like the team is actively making some of these decisions, but I don't know, man. Again, the public coming in on the Jets, the Denver being at home. I just, the spread just so tiny. I mean, yeah, I'm going back. I'll dip back in. It's probably stupid, but whatever.
I just take the under if I was betting this game. It's a low number, but that's, I agree that they're going to make life very tough for Zach Wilson, but Denver's struggled against everybody on offense. So there might be a rock fight in Denver.
Yeah, an underfield makes sense. The thing is, though, the Jets have been like a weird, good scoring team in the second half, right? See the game against Miami, Green Bay, the Browns game, which was wild. That was way back.
Yeah, that was nuts.
So that would be your only reason to hold back, I guess. But do we really think the Jets again? I mean, I'd say the Jets can't win the game, but are they going to be explosive in the second half again?
I mean,
against this defense.
Oh, whoops. Okay, sorry. Just a sec. I'm just trying to fit. Like, who are the Jets played? I mean, you mentioned the Browns. The Browns, they stink. They got beat by the Bengals pretty bad.
Green Bay and Miami, those are pretty legit.
They scored against the Steelers, who we know stink.
That game was against Skylar Thompson. The Dolphins won.
Right, the Dolphins won, and the Packers defense. I mean, they definitely have not been very good this year. But I mean, they haven't really gone up against a really good defense yet. So I'm just saying, there's room here for like an implosion game, like in my opinion. I don't know. This one's interesting in a very sadistic sort of way, but
Well, and they have room for it because if they lose, they'll still have a winning record. And then their big test is against New England the following week.
I mean, I admit part of this is just I just can't like live in a world where like the Jets have like 5 wins or whatever. But
by the way,
weird to me too, Jeff.
The look ahead line on Jets Patriots. Jets are underdogs at home. They're getting a point right now.
That'll change once Mac Jones is announced as the starter.
What else we got before we go?
Yeah, one last one. I'm gonna give you a favorite. Cincinnati Bengals -6.5 against the Falcons.
The run will be over for Atlanta. 6-0 against the spread this year.
It's got to end at some point.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a great matchup for the Bengals, right? I talk all the time about how their big weakness is that they don't protect the passer very well. They're going to struggle against teams with great pass rushes. We saw that with the Cowboys, and that's clearly not the case with the Falcons. They have 8 sacks on the year. They're dead last in adjusted sack rate. If you give Joe Burrow time, he is going to eviscerate you with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think they put up 30 plus, and the Falcons don't keep up.
You got one last pick, Jeff? Or
it's one of I'm on that one as well. So we're mostly in lockstep this week. Bengals, I think that the Falcons are interesting. It's last week, everybody finally started to pay attention to them because they're the ATS record. And it feels like now the public is jumping in, and it's like, okay, well, now this is a good time to jump off. By the way, Atlanta's secondary is really banged up too. Like this has the makings of like another Jamar Chase, like 2 touchdown, 150-yard game. Terrell's banged up. Hayward's definitely, I'm pretty sure, is not playing. They're down like their best players there. So they already had a weak secondary to begin with. It was like the worst part of their defense. So I'm on the Bengals as well. This line has been weird too. Like it dropped to 5.5. I got it at 5.5. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, but it dropped. I think the money came in on the Falcons, but it feels like it's coming back now. Maybe some sharper money taking the Bengals. Either way, I think the Bengals are going to win by a touchdown or more. So at 6.5, I'll even say 6.5. You should take it. I like it as well. The other line I'll throw out. I like the Jags this week. I think they're going to be able to stop the run.
Speaking of folks getting mesmerized, the Giants are 5-1. Got to take the 3. How are the Giants? Sorry, I won't put on my Southie voice. How are the Giants 3 point?
Hey, Dom, you see this line? How are the Giants only getting 3 points at Jacksonville? That's crazy.
Hey, Don, you believe this? All right, go ahead, Jeff.
I'm not even going to attempt. But yeah, 80% of the bets coming in on the Giants. I think that the Jags have a very good run defense. I think they're going to be able to at least limit Saquon Barkley. I think they'll stop Daniel Jones from being able to get out of the pocket. The Jaguars limited Jalen Hurts like 2.5 yards per carry. He had like 38 yards on like 17 carries or something like that against them. And at that point, like they're at home, if they get any pressure. I just think that the Jags can do this. Again, everyone is looking at this line and saying, why are the Jags favored? Like the Giants are 5-1. And ideally you want to take this at 2.5, obviously, which I did get, but you could buy it down. I just think that the Jags are going to win this game, and I'm going to take them to cover.
Never buy it down.
Okay, fine.
All right. So
thanks, Dad.
Is there any chance it gets to 2.5?
No.
No chance?
Sharps love the Jaguars this week, basically for all the reasons that you just stated.
I mean, it was at 2.5.
The Giants are clearly a fraudulent 5-1, and it's just the spot to sell them. I still think the Giants are better than expected, but they're certainly not like a good football team. So I hear your points, Jeff, and I agree with them.
And yeah, the other thing about the Giants is London, New York, Florida. That's their last 3 weeks. Like it's pretty big travel. And I know all the teams travel, but the London game, I still think kind of could catch up to them here.
Yeah, you used to always get a bye after London, right? Yeah. They don't do that anymore.
Well, they have a choice. It's a choice now.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
That's how it works now. I know. I thought the same thing early in the year. You are allowed to pick if you want the bye, and some teams are like, "No, we're good. We'll play."
Yeah,
okay,
it worked out great for the Packers.
And look how Green Bay looked after coming back off that flight against the Giants. Very good. Good stuff, gentlemen. This feels like a comeback down to earth week for the NFC East. That's what I'm sensing here. For Dallas, well, I know both of you are against that, or you're against each other on that. And even for the Giants, Eagles are on the bye. And Washington, I think, is going to cover against the Packers because the Packers stink.
Because you
Ton of
always,
sharp activity on.
always pick against Aaron Rodgers. That's it. It's Glash's thing.
We need to
Always
go.
take.
It's getting late. For Jeff Ulrich, Matt LaMarca, thanks to Eamon and Daniel behind the scenes. They do what they do to get us up and running. Have a great weekend, everybody. Best of luck with your lineups and whatever sport that tickles your fancy. And we'll see you back on Monday. Oh, no. I always forget there's a Sunday show. Sunday, The Sweat, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Be there for all the coverage of the NFL slate. Talk to you later.